Am I concerned right now when it comes to XCN? The answer is no. I'm still thinking about 25 cents, by the way, and even though it's a little bit like, what are you even talking about? Even though nothing I say is financial advice, it just hasn't left my mind because the last time I saw XCN kind of nearing this price range, back in April, right? Soon after that, we had a pretty good recovery. Now, granted, there's a pullback again and we're kind of nearing that range again, but I'm just saying. And even if we take a look at what XCN did back in January, after basically not doing much at all in terms of price for a very long time, and then in January again, we saw a pretty good rally, but then we kind of haven't seen that same energy again. But I think it kind of makes sense. The sentiment when it comes to altcoins was, I think, better before. And also on top of that, what it even did before was without an altcoin season, in my perspective. So that's impressive in and of itself, in my opinion. So when I take a look at XCN, I'm still not concerned because even the market cap currently is still top 150, right? I mean, currently it's around 144, that range, so to speak, when it comes to top projects in terms of market cap. Just imagine that. It's top 150 in the world currently. So it's not a small project by any means. There are many smaller projects out there that a lot of people are saying that, oh, it's going to do this and it's going to do that. And granted, I do believe some small projects too, but then at the same time, XCN is very established, market cap is pretty massive, and then this maybe can't go along with the ride during an altcoin season. I just have a hard time believing that. This is just my perspective when it comes to this. Because XCN, it already has good exposure. Onyx, when it comes to it, a lot of people already kind of know what it is. Now, it's not the most popular thing out there, but just think about this, right? XDC, which arguably is the most kind of famous competitor that people often compare XCN to if we exclude Stellar and as well as Ripple, or should I say XLM and XRP, XDC market cap is around $1 billion. A year ago, if I told my friends that, hey, you know what, XCN is going to have a market cap of around 300 million, even right now, right? And XDC is going to have a market cap of around $1 billion, a lot of people probably wouldn't really even want to consider that. They'd be like, what? What are you talking about? XCN is never even going to come close to something like XDC. But then as of right now, basically, if XCN just did a 3x from here, market cap is already kind of basically kind of the same as XDC. Now, if let's say XCN did a 3x, probably at that point XDC would maybe do better. This is just my perspective, but still, it's kind of even fascinating to see how even currently XDC is just around a 3x in terms of market cap away from something like XCN. So when I take a look at XCN, it's actually already done quite a lot. And now because XCN's pullback is pretty, big, right, in the grand scheme of things, even though it's actually doing way better than before, let's say before January. But besides that point, 25 cents is currently around a 27x from here. Market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around $9 billion. My thoughts on that $9 billion market cap hasn't changed because it just doesn't seem like such an outlandish market cap to me. And 25 cents around a 27x from here. I mean, I'm not telling you to do anything, but wow. That's just the way to take a look at it. Granted, it's had a pullback. I'm totally aware of that, and not every single person, got into XCN, let's say, a year ago. So I'm totally aware of the sentiment right now when it comes to Onyx. It's not the best. But when I take a look at it, at times when the price is not doing good, what I focus on is what is, let's say, Onyx focused on in terms of the market. What is the space that it's focused on, and do I see a future within that space? Personally, I still see a future because the space that Onyx is focused on is payments and global trade and finance. When it comes to payments, again, in global trade and finance, what are two very massive projects that are focused on this? Stellar and as well as Ripple. So, is it logical for me to think that, something like Ripple and Stellar doesn't have a future? Well, no, it wouldn't be logical, right? If I told all of my friends that, they would probably be like, what are you talking about? But then when I talk about Onyx, which is basically focused on that exact same markets, right? A lot of my friends sometimes are like, dude, stop talking about that. Well, here's the thing. If something like Ripple and Stellar, which is focused on payments and global trade and finance, even despite altcoins not doing good as of right now, a lot of people still think, hey, you know what? They have a bright future, arguably because of the space that they're focused on. Well, Onyx is also focused on that exact same space. And it's not like Onyx is an unknown project. Market cap is like, around 300 million currently. when it comes to XCN. So if I haven't given up on Stellar, why would I give up on Onyx? They're pretty much literally kind of focused on the same markets, so to speak. You know what I mean? And it's not like XCN has such a low market cap. This is why I haven't given up. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried when it comes to Onyx because it's not like XCN is the only thing that's going down as of right now, right? I mean, a bunch of altcoins are going down as well. Even Bitcoin is having a pullback. Ethereum, you know what I mean? So then it's not like it's only XCN. And even if XCN for whatever reason just had like a dump on its own, even at that point, I wouldn't be necessarily concerned if I don't see anything wrong with the fundamentals, which I don't. And if I'm dollar cost averaging anyways, I don't know why I'd complain if the price did go low temporarily. I'm not saying I want the price low, like, relatively speaking forever, because that wouldn't make sense. Why would I want that? But then at the same time, if I'm dollar cost averaging, I don't know why, relatively speaking, temporarily low prices would concern me. And here's the thing. When it comes to XCN, the way to take a look at it is that at a certain point, there's going to be a time where people just don't want to sell anymore, right? There's going to be a point where there's going to be these holders that just don't really want to exit. So eventually, yeah, sure, maybe XCN could go lower from right now, only time will tell. But there's maybe a point where it's going to find a bottom. Where will that bottom exactly be? Who knows? But then, again, the last time I kind of saw XCN nearing this range back in April, we saw a pretty good recovery. Now, historical performance doesn't necessarily guarantee future performance. I'm totally aware of that. However, just the way to take a look at it, I just don't want to give up like that. I feel like when it comes to this altcoin space, it's going to sometimes go up and sometimes going to go down. But in my perspective, the lower something is, hypothetically, the more room, maybe it could grow. It doesn't mean it will, but this is just my perspective. I haven't given up when it comes to Onyx. I still believe in payments. I still believe in global trade and finance when it comes to those markets. And it just makes no sense for me to give up like that, really. I mean, I was believing in XCN, keep in mind, right? Before it had that pump in January. So imagine that. Imagine how much more difficult it was for me to even kind of consider the future of XCN back then when compared to right now. Keep in mind, the market cap back then was like still below 100 million. You know what I mean? Right now, it is pretty much like over 3 times that, despite the pullback when it comes to XCN. So if I was believing in XCN back then, as of right now, it should actually feel a little bit easier. Now I get it doesn't feel good because it had that good rally and then there was a pullback and it's like, come on, right? But then at the same time, it is the altcoin space, it is this space in general. I can't control that. The market's going to do its thing, but I just don't want to give up because I like the market it's focused on. I like the fundamentals. I like the amount of holders despite, kind of the selling pressure right now. But still, I just don't want to give up. And I'm just talking about personally what I'm doing. I can't speak on anyone's behalf, but personally, I just don't want to give up. I'm not concerned. However, again, only time will tell. But my point of view is this. If I am, let's say, running a marathon, right? Would it make sense for me to every single time something didn't work out, I just quit the marathon? I was like, yeah, I'm out. However, if I didn't really care about it, then probably yeah. But then if I actually care about it, I just wouldn't quit. And I want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.